I was on top of the world. I was a football player and I was a musician. I was a budding speaker. I had a singing career. I knew Christ, but I didn't follow him. I thought I had the world in my hands. I was the star of my movie. Jesus was a small part of the scene, but the strokes happened.
I did competitive figure skating for 11 years. I was one of the best in the world, and I was on track to go to the 2024 Olympics when I got struck with another injury. At that same time, my family was going through a very dark season, and that combination of my injury plus the lack of family support that I needed, I decided to quit skating. That's kind of when addictions all started formulating.
I would have just said that I was a Christian, but it wasn't really a faith that I pursued. By the time I got to college, questions really started coming up. I had to give up what I thought was my Christian faith because it wouldn't hold up to the questions that I was asking. So I just left it.
My goodness, I was in bad shape. The doctor said, you have a clot in the back of your brain, and if it moves the slightest bit, you could die. I'll be off the next 2 days, and I hope I see you when I get back. And I was crushed. I said, what? Family members flew from Texas to see me for the last time. And I was saying, is this the end? I made it out the hospital alive, but a few years later, I had another stroke. My second stroke robbed me of my speech. I could say yes or no, only. I was paralyzed on my left side and I had to learn how to walk. Did 6 months of chemotherapy. My music career, my public speaking career, over. My plans for my life were crushed. And I said, what more can you take from me?
I ended up getting addicted to multiple drugs, dangerous ways to try and find who I was and just get that adrenaline boost that used to come from skating. Completely thought that there was no way God could have been there with me. I was out partying one night and I drank a lot. I blacked out. My parents woke up and they found me. I was seizing and going into full cardiac arrest. My heart stopped. Paramedics arrived in time. A few minutes later and I wouldn't be here today.
Started exploring different philosophies and different worldviews. Buddhism, Taoism, Lakota spirituality, the coexist movement, Hinduism, a belief in what's called nihilism. Nothing really matters. I felt like I had no meaning, I had no purpose. Even though things were good on the outside, you know, I was pursuing a good career and doing a lot of things that the world says is success. But I just didn't have that aim towards something that's greater than me. I just still had that yearning for God that wasn't satisfied. This led me to years of a bleak depression, and I just felt so empty and alone.
I broke down to my parents and I told them everything that had happened, and it really was a turning point. I went into rehab and counseling. After getting a lot of mental health help and spiritual guiding, I was able to see clearly that God was right there next to me.
He brought me through the darkest times of my life. Even though physically I've gotten so much back that I lost from the strokes, my speech never fully recovered. God didn't fully heal me, but He did a miracle in my heart. I saw His plan for my life was better than my plan. If God thinks I'm better suited to not as fluent as speech, I'll go with it.
One day, a friend invited me to church. I had a profound revelation that God is what I was searching for the entire time. He was really what I was missing. I was just opened up to His love for me. In that day, I found God. Everything that was true or powerful or that spoke to me about any other tradition is in the Bible.
I discovered how grand God's presence was in my life. He had teachers help me in any way they could to get me back on track. He brought in friends that were real and were there for my recovery, and He mended a lot of broken relationships.
I got closer to God quickly. I realized God saved me. The strokes made me change my outlook. I was thirsty for the knowledge of God.
The shift in perspective that God graced me with changed my life.
My family recovered to such a strong extent. It is the most beautiful reunion ever, and I owe that all to Him.
I went from being completely chokeholded by drugs and addiction and denial that God even existed, to now being sober for a year and having a beautiful, deep relationship with Him.
I strive to make God more famous. Now, I'm all in. God's the star of the story, and I'm a small role player.
I was stuck and was given a new chance at not just a new life in a different direction, but a life that is so full. He changed my direction. He changed my level of hope, my level of love. God transformed my heart.
Before the strokes, I was all about me. After my strokes, it's all about the Father.
Any residual shame that I had in the past, He's turned into a way for me to show others His grace and His compassion and His forgiveness.
He has changed everything, and He can do that for anyone who will accept Him.
God is for real. What He's done in my life, He can do more in yours. I'm on top of the world. Again.
Make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. God, I came here with nothing but all you have given me. Jesus, bring